Hello. Um, Welcome to our knowledge convention for the second day. Today we are going to start our second day sessions. And in this session, we are discussing about the smart and sustainable urban development session. This session is specially designed for the smart and sustainable development of urban, and the experts and our chairs will be working on it. So for running this session, I would like to invite, we have a chair from online as well, and also chair here from here. So actually, we are running all the sessions in three parallel sessions, and in all parallel sessions, we are all going online, and Zoom line is already available on the website. So everyone is requested to join and enjoy our presentation. So without delaying, I would like to invite the chair, Dr. Sunil Babu Shrestha, who is in here physically, and Dr. Amika Adhikari online. Welcome, Amika sirs. So I would like to hand over this mic to our chair, and he will be handling all the things. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Over to Dr. Adhikari.
Thank you so much, Dr. Pasnet, and also thank you so much, Dr. Shrestha. My name is Ambika Adhikari. I live in Phoenix, Arizona. I'm an urban planner and also an architect by profession. And this is the third time that I'm chairing this particular type of session in the Global Knowledge Conference. So I really appreciate the opportunity, and it's also been a pleasure to work with Dr. Sunil Babu Shrestha, who is the co-chair of this particular program. And then we have 5 different papers that we'll be presenting today. Unfortunately, in the program, there has been a lot of names missing. For example, the first paper is actually by myself, Ambika Adhikari, Kesa Bhattrai, and DPJC. I had provided the entire information. I do understand that there are so many things that the people who were organizing it had to manage, so probably they left it out. Dr. Kesa Bhattrai is definitely one of our co-authors, but the presentation is something that I've already sent online. I hope you have it, and on behalf of all 3 of us, I have made that presentation online, pre-recorded video. And then before I ask Dr. Shrestha to add a few things, I do want to let you know that after our paper, there is going to be another paper, and before every paper, I will probably very briefly describe that paper and also the speakers. There's going to be another paper by Dr. Chandra Pandey and Dr. S.P. Shrestha on the climate change and sustainable urban development. And after that, Professor Dr. Sudha Shrestha of Institute of Engineering. She will be talking about sustainable landscaping. And then Ms. Shubha Adhikari, she's a member of American Institute of Certified Planner from Maryland in USA. She will be talking about the potential of bus rapid transit. We'll go into a little more detail on that. She's also sent a pre-recorded video. And then finally, there's going to be a presentation by 2 joint secretaries of the government of Nepal, Mr. Narayan Bhandari and architect Mr. Ekraj Adhikari. They will talk about the policy gaps in the urban development and the way forward. I do have many things to talk about, but I will postpone that for later on. The only thing that I wanted to say is the objective of this particular symposium is to basically analyze the different aspects of the urbanization process in Nepal. As you know, the 2021 census puts the urban population in Nepal to be 66%. That's a big number compared to about 23% in 2011. And it has many implications. It also connects to the Sustainable Development Goals of the United Nations. So all of those things, I don't have enough time to talk about that, but that's the motivation, and to provide some policy guidelines to the government of Nepal and also to the researchers and the policymakers in Nepal is the idea of today's symposium. Let me ask Dr. Sunil Babu Shrestha if he wants to add a couple of things, and then we'll go ahead and start with our presentations.
Thank you very much, Dr. Adhikari, and distinguished participants and speakers. It is my great pleasure to invite you all in this NRN Global Knowledge Conventions under the theme the Science, Technology and Innovations and Investment for the Social Economic Development of Nepal, organized by the Non-Residents Nepali Association, NRNA. And today we are gathered here to discuss, focusing on the very critical topic, the smart and sustainable urban development. The session has 5 papers, as already described by the chair, the Dr. Adhikari, and we are talking about the walkability in the selected Nepali urban areas, climate change and its impact on sustainable urban development, concept of the sustainable landscapes in green cities, and the potential of the rapid bus rapid transit BRT systems. And finally, we are examining the policy gaps and the way forward for the sustainable urban development. As you know that in the global context, the rapid urbanization is happening, and in the recent years, Nepal is also getting the fast pace, these urbanizations, and we have already started living in more than 66% in the urban areas in 293 municipalities. So we have the country is now urbanizing, and so many urban areas in Nepal, as we consider the municipalities as the urban areas. But our municipalities still have the rural characteristics, and we have so many problems regarding these infrastructures, urban infrastructure and facilities. In this context, this session aims to address the pressing issues of by fostering the discussions on how we can transfer our municipalities into the well-developed these urban centers through the evidence-based policies and the initiatives in the smart and sustainable urban development. So in this context, all these 5 papers are very much important and very much relevant with this theme. But I humbly request all the presenters to complete your presentation within the time limit. It's about the 15 minutes. So that the discussion that is followed by, after all the presentation, the 10-minute discussions will have the chance to engage the participants in a dynamic exchange of these ideas and insights and the experiences. So I encourage all the participants to share your expertise and contribute the fruitful discussions. May this session, smart, sustainable and urban development, pave the path for the transformative and the inclusive growth in our municipalities, saving for the good and the brighter future for the Nepal. Thank you very much. And I now invite the speakers who are present here. First of all, I would like to invite to come into this Professor Dr. Sudha Shrestha, professor from the Institute of Engineering, Tribhuvan University. And the Joint Secretary from the Ministry of Urban Development, Mr. Naran Bhatsar Bhandari, and Mr. Ek Raj Adhikari to join in this. And also, I also welcome all the presenters who are available in the online. Dr. Keshav Bhattarai, Dr. Chandra Lal Pandey, and Dr. Subha Adhikari. Over to you, Dr. Adhikari.
Okay. Thank you so much, Dr. Shrestha, for all that intro. So my presentation, actually, I have sent. If they can play that, I would be grateful.
Hello and namaste everyone. My name is Ambika Adhikari. I'm presenting on behalf of myself, Professor Keshav Bhattarai, and Engineer Mr. DPJC of Kathmandu. This presentation is a part of the symposium, Smart and Sustainable Urban Development in Nepal, within the NRNA Global Knowledge Conference of 2023. The title of our presentation is Assessing and Improving Walkability in Selected Nepali Urban Areas and Neighborhoods. We'll talk about what's walkability, what is a walk score, a new concept, we'll talk about it, and then we'll provide some data on walkability in Nepal, talk about some standards, provide visual examples, both from Nepal and international perspective, and then finally we'll create what are the factors to consider to create a framework for walkability. Now, let's talk about walkability and related factors. Walkability is, of course, the ability for people to walk in a particular area with comfort and enjoyment. The journeys always start and end on foot, so walking is very important. Obviously, walking is healthy. It improves the environment, and then also provides a concept of the community. And then the walkability indexes measure the how much a particular area is walkable. And to continue on, the walkability depends on safety, quality of the path, many amenities such as trees, public arts, and all of it within the framework of between 5 to 10 minutes of walk. That is the optimum level that people want to walk before they take the transit or a car or bicycle or some other means of transport. Now, some of the elements that support walkability is, of course, the environment, the size and width and the quality of the sidewalk, paving, landscaping, shade, ambient sound, noise, view, intersection density, and the access to amenities. Now, a concept of the walk score that we want to introduce here is very important. It was begun in 2007 by Mike Matthew. The walk score is anywhere between 0 to 100. 100 is the perfect walking area. 0 is unwalkable. And the Redfin company, a real estate company, basically owns that particular trademark. Anything between 90 to 100 is a walking paradise. 70 to 89 is very walkable. 50 to 69 is still walkable. 25 to 49 is car dependent. 0 to 24 is fully car dependent, like many cities in America and Australia and also in Canada. The methodology that they use to create a walk score of any particular area, you can actually go to the website and look for the walk score even for Kathmandu in downtown areas. It's really high, anywhere between 90 to 98, but it depends on your access to grocery, restaurants, library, and many other amenities that we do on a day-to-day basis. Then the many factors influence the walk score. Obviously, some of them are the quality, time taken to walk to the amenities, number of amenities, and so forth. Now, some data related to walkability in Nepal, we provide. Here's a map of Nepal showing all the different types of municipalities, metropolis, sub-metropolis, and municipalities, both in all three areas, hills, plains, and the mountains. Here is an example of the Kathmandu, a high growth, so walking is going to be very important. The growth rate of growth is extremely high, actually 3.3% per year. The population on the whole in Nepal is increasing just about 1.1%, so this is almost like 3 times. And each year with this growth, the valley adds about 100,000 people, which is, if it's a town, it's bigger than the whole town of Bhaktapur, which is 80,000 people. Kathmandu's population density is very high at 52,000 people per square mile. Walkability obviously is supported by it. It is slightly less than places like Mumbai and Manila, but it's way above even New York, Singapore, and many North American and Australian cities. Here's a table that tells you the road length and population density in some of the areas. The more the length of the higher the density of the road length per hectare, and more the population density on a particular location, obviously walkability is facilitated and walkability becomes even more important. Now, the Nepal road standards and the Ministry of Physical Infrastructure and Transport, and also the Ministry of Urban Development provide the some of the standards about the size and the width of the footpath. That's all they provide. They focus so much more on vehicles and transportation, the vehicular transportation, but they do not talk about sidewalks, its quality, the width, and so forth, which we very much do here in the US and Canada. The Nepal Local Government Operation Act 2074 does require the existence of footpath for any municipalities and metropolitan cities and sub-metropolitan city as one of the amenities that they do identify footpath, like other infrastructure and other facilities in the city. Now here are some of the aerial examples. This is the city of Kathmandu. The metropolitan city of Kathmandu obviously is very dense, as you can see. All there's great areas like walking and other paths. Even when you go into the detail, you can see people. It's easy for people to walk from one point to another because of density. Bharatpur becomes a little more expanded, a less density. You can see here, and then places like Dhangadi are even more expansive and less density, as you can see here too. And then many municipalities in the mid hills are only a name, municipalities in the name, because the road density is extremely low, and the population density is also low. But ironically, those areas, not urban walking, but it's more almost like hiking. That's basically the only means that people go from point A to point B. Here are some visual examples. You can see how difficult, always under construction, no safety, rail guards, oftentimes too narrow. All the footpaths and sidewalks are not actually designed for walking. Some more that Mr. DPJC has taken. A very low priority is given by the municipality and the local population in the community to the sidewalks. They do attack it for their own benefit. And then some more visual examples that even when there is a minimum footpath and sidewalks and walkways available, it is very often not kept open for walking. It is always attacked from every different directions. You can see more pictures that people even park on the sidewalk, which should be completely illegal. Those cars should be towed away right away. And then you can see it's not only the sidewalks, even crossing is very hazardous in Kathmandu. Some international examples, the one on top is from Phoenix, Arizona. Now, as you can see, there's a detached sidewalk, so there's a safety between the vehicle and the people walking on the sidewalk because of the landscaping in between. That really helps. The one below you see in the tourist town of Honolulu, which is very wide. It's probably anywhere between 15 to 20, even 25 feet wide, so that hundreds of people can walk in one direction any minute. The international best practices, of course, many amenities like drinking fountains, close to active ground floors, and then smart information kiosks are available, hand washing stations are available. All of that makes it very important. The picture above is in Poland, the picture below is in Gandhinagar in India. And then you see in Australia and New Zealand, the walking pathways are really wide and then very safe and away from the car. So people just enjoy walking there when the weather is good. Now, improving the walkability in Nepal, obviously, you need to provide amenities, interaction building between building facade and the sidewalks, and then functional and aesthetic quality of the environment is important. And the landscaping is also very important. You see some examples here from Phoenix and Honolulu. So if we create a framework for assessing walkability in Nepal, we have to think of at least these and more ideas, like the width of the sidewalk, pavement quality, crossing, lack of obstruction on the sidewalk, optimum lighting, good amount of signage, shade and planting, aesthetics of the whole area, connectivity to amenities and residences, and the quality of the residence amenities. So those are important factors, and with those, we need to create national standards, provincial and municipal standards, master plan, zoning codes, landscaping standards, urban forestry standards, signage codes, and repair and maintenance protocols for the sidewalks to actually improve walkability in Nepal. So these will be some important policies areas. We're not going into detail on this one, but I'm just highlighting and flagging some of these very important areas. Okay, so in summary, we talked about what is walkability. We introduced the concept of the walk score, and then we assessed visually the walkability in Nepalese and international best practices city. And then we also underlined some of the ideas about creating a framework to assess walkability. Those will be the policy recommendations to create different types of plans. With that, the presentation is ended by Ambika Adhikari, Kesab Batra, and DBJC. Thank you. We will have question and answer sessions immediately after this or later on when all the presentations are done. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Dr. Adhikari, for your insightful presentations. I now invite the second presenter, Dr. Chandra Lal Pandey. He's not available in the online, so we can run the pre-recorded video, presentation 2.
And head of the Department of Development Studies, School of Arts, Kathmandu University. It's my great pleasure to be here today and share some of my thoughts on climate change and sustainable urban development in Nepal. I would like to recognize my team members' name also. Dr. Sunil Babu Shrestha has supported me to prepare this presentation and research work. Likewise, my two students, Smriti Kayastha and Sumita Silwal, also supported me while preparing this presentation. Now, let me talk a little bit about, climate change today first, and then we will talk about urbanization, and I will bring some insights from Hariwon and Simta to one municipality, and the other one is rural municipality. What are the challenges they faced during the time of their urbanization? So let me first talk a little bit about climate change. Climate change, as you all know, is the biggest challenge of 21st century, right? It's a kind of, in simple language, we can say climate change means the changes in weather patterns over a long period of time. And world's climate is changing because of rising greenhouse gas emissions that might end up warming the planet by well over 2 degrees Celsius. And scientists have already warned, if climate change or global warming goes over 2 degrees Celsius, there can be serious consequences. And, the reports from IPCC and other scientific evidence show us that Asia is the hotspot, right? Because there are a number of reasons for that, and about 35% of worldwide energy-related carbon dioxide emissions is taking place in Asia, right? In 1990, only 17%, but by now it's about 35%. So it's becoming a challenge for Asia. And it will increase in the days to come because we have emerging economies like China and India as just immediate neighbors to us. Now, if you look at the data, what is happening, about climate change? So you can see, human-induced warming is increasing at an unprecedented rate of over 0.2 degrees Celsius per decade. And until now, if you look at the data and the statistics or research, what we find is like the Earth is already warmed up to 1.1 degrees Celsius compared to pre-industrial age, right? So world is warming and we have consequences of global warming, right? And there are a number of evidence. One is temperature rise, another one is we can see carbon dioxide emission is increasing day by day, year by year, and each new year is keeping itself as the hottest year in the record. And when we talk about climate change, we have a number of impacts of climate change on different sectors. For example, one is increased global temperature, right? One is increased global temperature rising. Another one comes along with this is extreme weather events. And then these weather events as hazards turning into disasters. Extreme, precipitations, prolonged precipitations, right? Intensive precipitation, sea level rise, changes in land use and growing seasons also because the monsoon pattern is changing, extreme heat, extreme cold, right? Air and water pollution increasing, right? And heat-related illnesses and some of the diseases which disappeared in the past, they are coming up again, and they are creating serious challenges, right, in human life. Now, let's talk about the relationship between climate change and urbanization, right? Because we are talking about sustainable urban development. So when we talk about, climate change and urbanization, we can see a number of relationship in between these two, let's say, entities. Cities are the center of innovations now. Cities are hopes and aspirations of the people, right? Cities can provide a number of opportunities, employment opportunities, right? And then they can also provide access to health, quality education system, all these kinds of things. So everybody wants to come to city and live in cities, right? But then cities are also, center for a number of challenges. For example, urban crime, urban inequality, urban poverty, along with this urban pollution, urban emission, right? As cities are engine of economies, they are also center for producing garbage and emission. Those kinds of things that we need to think of. So, we can say like urban areas are major contributors to climate change, which account for about 71 to 76% of CO2 emissions and will be extremely impacted by climate change, right? Cities are in fact contributing for climate change, and climate change is going to affect cities. And today also, if you look, the number of urban dwellers will increase by 2.5 billion, with nearly 90% grown in Asia and Africa. At today also about 55%, over 55% of global population live in cities. So definitely climate change will impact urban infrastructure. Climate change will impact cities. Climate change will affect vital urban economic and social infrastructure. Climate change will worsen access to basic urban services and quality of life in cities. And most affected populations are the poor, urban poor, slum dwellers, and marginalized populations in developing countries. Now let's come to Nepal then, okay? Let's see what's happening with Nepal. So if you look at Nepal, you can look at the figure here. By 2011, about, let's say, some 13%, 14% people were urban. By 2021 now, if you look at the latest data from Central Bureau of Statistics, you can see about 66% of Nepali people are urban people. So Nepal, being one of the fastest urbanizing countries, it has witnessed a wide rise. It has witnessed a rise in urban population from 17% in 2011 to 66.17% in 2022, at least in theory. Because when I say at least in theory, people are urban, but there are contradictions in terms of access to mobility, access to other basic services that are available in cities. The major causes of rapid urbanizations are reclassification and migration from rural to urban areas. Although the country has not, provided all the urban facilities, but because of, let's say, restructuring for political purpose, many rural areas have been declared to be urban areas. So there are a number of contradictions. Now, with this idea now, I would like to take you towards, two case study cities where we engaged ourselves for this research. So we want to say the insights from Herion and Simta. And before that, I would like to talk about the methods that we have used, particularly, from the perspective of research methods, we used qualitative, inquiry for this research. We talked to key informant interviewees, and then, let's say, in-depth interviews also, focus group discussions, observations. We did some GIS mapping also, and we used large number of secondary literature. And we talked to local government people, local communities, including most marginalized communities and people, and private sector also. We met them, we talked to them about urban issues and development agencies as well. Now, this is a map you can see where Herion is. It's in Sarlahi district in Nepal, right? In Madhya province of Nepal. So the total population of Sarlahi, municipality, sorry, the total population of Herion municipality is 49,988, right? And the population density is 748 people per square kilometer. And this is the two pictures which can help us understand
how was Herion in 2030 and how it is now in 2023. So you can see LULC 2013 and LULC 2023. So you can see few red marks in 2013, a number of red marks, or the red mark area is increased by 2023. That means built up area is increasing there. That's what you can see from this picture. Now, if you look at, again, another, Simta rural municipality, you can see it's in Karnali province, right? It's in Karnali province, and, the total population of Simta rural municipality is 24,083, and population density is 100 people per square kilometer. And here also you can see, the difference between 2017 and 2023, although you don't see much difference, but again, the red area, built up area is increasing in these two figures also. Now, some of the key issues of Herion and Simta, we found some common issues in one municipality and another to be municipality in near future, right? So you can see infrastructure here, right? Herion and Simta in the tabulated form. And the road conditions of Herion, blacktop roads, footpath, and cycle tracks are not considered while constructing, right? So you can see blacktop roads there, but then there are no footpaths, right? There are no cycle tracks. So even if we call it inclusive development, we don't see those kinds of characteristics in development there. In Simta, blacktop roads in major city areas, footpath and cycle tracks are not considered while constructing these kinds of infrastructure in Simta also. Water supply, pipe water supply, water treatment facility is not available in Herion, source boring, no rainwater harvesting in Herion. And if you go to Simta, what you find there is pipe water from natural source, water treatment facility is not available in Simta also. So it's very difficult to go to the tape, get a glass of water, pour and drink, right? Those challenges are there, even if we call them urban areas. Sanitation, sewerage and storm drainage, poorly managed public toilets, no sewerage system. And here, again, if you go to Simta, poorly managed public toilets, no sewerage systems there too. And solid waste management, door-to-door waste collection in market area only, in Herion, poor management of solid waste. They don't have any, well and systematic management process of solid waste, although they claim that they are building solid waste management plant there in Herion. If you go to Simta, they don't have any waste management system there. And if you talk about transportation system is not accessible, inclusive and integrated in Herion, except for ward number 1 and 3, road accessibility is a big challenge in Simta. And buildings increase in built-up areas, 56% houses made with cement, bonded bricks and stones. Trend of RCC construction is increasing in Simta. But these kinds of buildings, they've not considered, emerging challenges of climate change and similar type of issues. Now, furthermore, for the insights on urban development concerns from Herion and Simta, what we find is haphazard growth and development contradictions, right? Certain parts of, this rural municipality and municipality we can see to some extent developed, but again, the other parts, they are very much undeveloped and they don't have any kind of facilities available in urban areas, although by name, in theory, they are called urban areas. And non-inclusive hardware development, when I say hardware, roads, building, etc., as I already said, roads are built, but there are no pedestrian for people to walk, no cycle lane, and no disabled-friendly, infrastructure. And then they don't consider about climate change issues also. For example, the buildings we used to build in the past, if we build the buildings today in the same way, I think those kinds of buildings are not climate friendly. We may need, fan, we may need air conditioning, we may need insulation system, right? And those things have not been considered. And there is constraint on the basic service deliveries, right? So people in these both, municipalities, one is rural and one is urban, they have complaints about, service issue also. There's a mismatch between energy demand and supply, and urban poverty, inequity, these things are widespread there in both of these municipalities. There's little focus on climate adaptation and community resilience as well. There are other social issues, for example, drug abuse, early marriage, dowry practices,
these issues are relatively going down, but they are still waiting to be addressed fully. So this picture can show you, some of the challenges as well as some prospects also. So see here, on the one hand side, you can see the rapid and often unplanned urbanization witnessed worldwide has led to increased pressure on the environment, right? So what we can do there is that promote sound urban planning, sustainable building, low carbon transport, green spaces, and sustainable lifestyles. On the other hand, we can have here on the left-hand side, you can see challenges. Our cities account for up to 80% of energy consumption as well as 75% of global waste and carbon emissions, right? As I already discussed about this issue. Now, what we need to do, invest in renewable energy, waste management, sustainable and green infrastructure. I think these are the areas we can think of, although these are not prescriptive, but discussing. And on the left-hand side, again, you can see challenges due to high concentration of people, infrastructure, housing, and economic activities. Cities are particularly vulnerable to climate change and natural disaster. What can be done? Protect cities, which are important social, cultural, economic centers from environmental and climate threats. I think we need to consider when we have both hardware development and software development. Now, insights on prospects for climate resilient urban development in Herion and Simpton, when we spoke to these stakeholders, we got a lot of insights from them, and we tried to present here thematically. And some of them are like long-term development vision and planning. That's what people think they need to have to make these cities inclusive. Equity, ownership, and belongingness, these are the key things people have realized, people have said, right? Inclusive and integrated governance, urban governance system. Then when we say inclusive, disabled friendly, gender friendly, right? Diversity friendly, these kinds of things, and integrated urban governance. Understand climate change friendly development and DRR, right? This needs to be integrated. And meaningful public participation, enough marginalized groups also, right? Reduced political conflicts. When we say political conflicts, the conflicts between political parties which affect development progress in those places. And multi-stakeholder partnerships. When we say multi-stakeholder partnerships, that means partnership between political parties, engaging private sector, civil society, right? These kinds of institutions for urban development, inclusive urban development. And there must be good linkage between governments, right? When we say governments, federal government, provincial government, local government, as well as other relevant actors, maybe donor agencies, right? Civil society organizations again, community-based organizations, right? There needs to be very good linkage. Planned land use, agriculture, and public awareness about how to make cities very much inclusive, climate friendly, right? And then one of the most important factors of making inclusive city or sustainable urban development, then it needs to ensure access to all basic services, right? And then cities must focus on investing in green, low carbon development, because cities can do that, local governments can do that, right? They are there for 5 years and they can make drastic changes in those 5 years. Now, after presenting these all, we would like to conclude very briefly. So we conclude that both cities prioritize more on hardware infrastructure development, such as buildings and road, right? Less on urban, political, socio-economic issues, right? They're less focused on political, social, and economic issues. They're more focused on buildings. Buildings which are not inclusive. Infrastructure which is not inclusive. And don't consider the impacts of climate change and sustainable development, right? So these kinds of modal developments or any other kinds of activities, including livelihood, they don't consider about DRR, they don't consider about climate change issues. So such initiatives are insufficient in scope and inadequately climate adaptive, posing significant challenges for sustainable urban development for meeting the goals 11 and 13 of sustainable development, right? Yet, we think that there are prospects to be climate resilient cities and communities, as we already said, like those understandings that communities have, people have there, can be included in the development of these cities. Thank you very much for listening. I would be very happy to answer your question, but unfortunately, I have not been able to be physically present there. But once again, thank you very much for the opportunity. I would like to thank the organizer for this opportunity and all the listeners for your patience and cooperation. Thank you and namaste.
Thank you very much,
Dr. Pandey, for your eye-opening presentation. So now I will invite the third presenter, Professor Dr. Sudha Shrestha from the Institute of Engineering for the presentations. And she will be presenting on the sustainable landscape, urban landscapes in the green cities in Nepal.
First of all, good morning to everyone and respected both chairpersons, Dr. Ambika Adhikari sir and Dr. Sunil Babu Shrestha, former VC of NAST, and dear speakers as well as participants and all staff members, NRNA members, and everyone who present here. Actually, my topic is sustainable landscape in green cities. How to? You change गर्ने यसैले हैन त कसरी हो के भयो Okay. Actually यता फर्काएर that's why त्यहाँ confused भयो Actually I don't like to go into detail because just earlier presenter Chandra Pandey ji has mentioned that urban area is center for very many facilities and as well as it is engine of growth. At the same time, if we will not manage properly, then it will give numerous problems. And that also Chandra ji has already mentioned that we will have lots of diseases, stress, mental stress, and all those things because of different problems like pollution and heat island effect, as well as different other like respiratory problem because of pollution, water pollution, different diseases. Similarly, we are facing those problems right now, and all of you know that it's very, very difficult to live in. And to overcome these problems, what we need to do, yes, we know the green cities. Green city makes very pleasant environment, greenery, and when we talk about, sorry. Okay. And green cities, that we know that when we talk about green cities, cities should be green. Green means tree and plantations. Not only green cities, not only green, it should be blue as well as it also must be free of pollutions, very pleasant environment, ecological point of view, as well as that city must have energy efficient, that city must have zero energy, like minimum energy efficient, and also zero waste, and so on and so forth. So when we talk about green city, green, not only green, it should be clean as well. So whatever we said earlier, it should not be like in that particular green city. It should be clean, it should be free of pollutions, and it must have enough oxygen to breathe in. Please, Green city, the green city is a way of, it's a way of reduce negative impact in environment. Okay, now when we talk about this session is for sustainable development, so I'd like to talk a little bit on sustainable cities. When we talk about sustainable cities, of course, the definition of sustainable cities continue to grow cities with respecting existing environment, incorporating ideas on how resources might be optimal use at present without compromising all facilities and resources and hand over to our future generation. हामीले हाम्रो future generation लाई पनि हाम्रो यो resources hand over गर्न सक्नु पर्यो. अनि मात्रै हाम्रो सस्टेनेबल सिटिजहरूको अब्जेक्टिभ पुरा हुन्छ। अब हामी जान्छौँ किन मेरो टपिक ल्यान्डस्केपमा छ। ल्यान्डस्केप बिकज आई एम एन आर्किटेक्ट एन्ड अल्सो एन ल्यान्डस्केप डिजाइनर। सो यहाँ चाहिँ मैले अलिकति आफ्नो आइडियालाई फ्लरिस गर्न खोजेको छु। कस्तो छ भने सस्टेनेबल ल्यान्डस्केप भनेको के त? अफकोर्स landscape design evaluates very aspect of the landscape with the goal to reduce negative environmental impact while including features that are beneficial to the natural world and beautiful. At the same time, we can make beautiful city. And now sustainable. Sustainable landscapes should include an attractive and pleasant environment. It should balance with the local climate, require minimal resources input, such as fertilizer, water, human resources, and etc. Okay. When we talk about landscape design, we have to consider different elements, different key points, key elements. These are soil, water conservation, energy efficient, wildlife habit, minimization of waste. These sort of things we have to taken care of for sustainable landscape design. And then these are all the value of soil in landscape, which will make soil stable, and it will reduce the erosion of loose soil. Similarly, water also we have to minimize, and drip water could be used, different type of techniques which we can reduce water for irrigation. Landscape and waste. Of course, we need to reduce waste for sustainable landscape. And what we can do is to reduce waste, these leaves of trees and also different materials we can use as a fertilizer. And वाटरको कुरा मैले भनिहालेँ हैन. आफ्टर वाटर अफ कोर्स ल्यान्डस्केप र वेस्टको कुरा गर्दा ल्यान्डस्केपमा अघि नै वेस्टको कुरा मैले गरिहालेँ. त्यसमा चाहिँ अब ल्यान्डफिल साइट्सहरूमा पनि पार्क हैन, त्यस्तै गरेर डिफ्रेन्ट फ्लावर्सहरू रोप्न सकिन्छ. प्लिज थ्याङ्क यू. Don't worry, ठिक छ. त्यसपछि हामीले देख्न सक्छौँ कि ब्रिदिङ प्रब्लम होइन, स्टप गर्नु पर्दैन. आई विल कन्टिन्यू. अनि यो ल्यान्डफिल साइटहरूमा पनि हामीले डिफ्रेन्ट लनहरू होइन, अनि डिफ्रेन्ट पार्कहरू यस्तो डेभलप गर्न सक्छौँ. अब माउन्ट ट्रान्समोर पार्क भर्जिनामा त्यही ल्यान्डफिल साइटमै पार्कहरू बनाएको हो. जुन पार्कमा चाहिँ हामीले लन देख्छौँ, त्यो लनमा चाहिँ हामीले फ्रुट ग्रिन ट्रिजहरू बनाउन सक्छौँ. होइन, इट्स ओके. ठिक छ सरी फर द्याट है कि उहाँहरूको कन्टिन्यू गराउने
Dr. Sudhaलाई stop गरेर अर्को सुरु गरेर पछि अलिकति क्वेसन आन्सरमा राखौँ न. It has been good.
अनि त्यस्तै क्लिनवर्थ पार्क पनि एउटा ल्यान्डफिल साइडमा बनेको पार्क हो. नेक्स्ट प्लिज. अनि त्यस्तै गरेर इन्डियामा इन्द्रप्रस्थ पार्क जसमा पनि ल्यान्डस्केपकै माथि ल्यान्डफिल साइडमै माथि बनेको हो. अनि प्लिज अर्को. अनि अब ल्यान्डस्केपको कुरा गर्दाखेरि हामीले सकभर नेटिभ प्लान्ट्सहरूलाई हामीले प्रिफरेन्स दिनुपर्छ. त्यसमा चाहिँ नि अब नेटिभ प्लान्टहरू अनि आफ्नो क्लाइमेटिक र यो जियोलोजी त्यो ठाउँको क्लाइमेट कन्डिसन्सहरूमा चाहिँ हामीले त्यस्तै खालको प्लान्ट्सहरूलाई हामीले प्रिफरेन्स दिनुपर्छ. जुन प्लान्ट्सहरू पहिलादेखि हाम्रो देशमा अथवा जुन ठाउँमा यो ल्यान्डस्केप गर्ने हो त्यो ठाउँको प्लान्ट्सहरू नै हामीले युज गर्नुपर्ने हुन्छ. प्लिज नेक्स्ट वान. अब कुरा गर्दाखेरि ल्यान्डस्केपकै कुरा गर्दाखेरि त्यो इकोनोमीसँग एकदम टाइअप हुनुपर्छ. जसले चाहिँ अब यसले के देखाएको छ भने गभर्मेन्टले एभ्री इयर फ्रुट्सहरू अनि फ्लावर्सहरू त्यस्तै गरेर भेजिटेबल्सहरू कति खर्च गरिरहेको छ त इम्पोर्ट गर्नको लागि भन्ने कुरा स्टडी गर्दाखेरि के देख्यो भने यो कस्टम डिपार्टमेन्टको अनुसार कुरा गर्ने हो भने धेरै ठाउँहरूबाट धेरै देशहरूबाट यो फ्रुट्सहरू भेजिटेबल्सहरू इभन फ्लावर्सहरू चाहिँ थुप्रै पैसा युज गरेर किनिरहेको इम्पोर्ट गरिरहेको रहेछ. त्यसमा चाहिँ फ्रुट्सहरूको कुरा गर्दाखेरि सबसे धेरै एप्पल, त्यसपछि बनाना, पाइनएप्पल, फिग, गुआभा, म्याङ्गो, अरेन्ज, ग्रेप, किवी, एभोकाडो यो फ्रुट्सहरू सबै विभिन्न देशहरूबाट नेपालले खरिद गर्दो रहेछ. प्लिज अघिकै एकचोटि राखौँ. अनि त्यस्तै गरेर टोमेटोजहरू मतलब भेजिटेबल्सहरू जस्तो कि पोट्याटो, अनियन, ग्रिन पिजहरू, गार्ड, पम्किन, ब्रिन्जल, लेडिज फिङ्गर्सहरू जस्तो थुप्रो तरकारीहरू पनि हामीले डिफ्रेन्ट कन्ट्रिजहरूबाट इम्पोर्ट गरिरहेको छौँ. टोमेटो मात्रै पनि कतिको गर्दो रहेछ भने उसले इभन लास्ट 6 मन्थ्समा 278 मिलियन रुपिसको एउटा टमाटो मात्रै इम्पोर्ट गरेको रहेछ. अर्को प्लिज. अघिनुकोमा जानु त अघिनुको. अनि डिपार्टमेन्ट अफ कस्टमबाट हामीले के थाहा पायौँ भने फ्रेस फ्रुट्सहरूको लागि मात्रै नेपाली रुपिस 10.64 बिलियन 2017 र 18 भित्र किनेको रहेछ, इम्पोर्ट गरेर रहेछ. त्यस्तै गरेर 8.94 बिलियन चाहिँ 16 र 17 मा किनेको. त्योभन्दा पनि बढी 17-18 मा उसले किनेछ, इम्पोर्ट गरेछ. त्यस्तै गरेर ग्रिन भेजिटेबल्स चाहिँ 17.4 बिलियन नेपाली रुपिसको किनेको छ भने यो 2022 र 23 भित्र उसले चाहिँ 17.4 बिलियन चाहिँ इभन 6 मन्थ्स मा हैन र 22-23 को फिस्कल इयरमा has imported 17.4 billion Nepalese rupees. त्यस्तै गरेर यो तरकारीहरू त्यतिकै उसले किनेको रहेछ भने अघि नै भने जस्तै टोमेटो मात्रै पनि 278 मिलियन रुपिसमा इम्पोर्ट गरेको रहेछ भनेपछि a huge amount of money are spending for importing fruits and vegetables. अब अर्को स्लाइड. त्यस्तै गरेर अब कस्टम अफिसबाट हामीले के पायौँ भने इभन फ्लावर्सको कट फ्लावर्स भनेपछि फ्लावरहरू जुन हामी गिफ्टहरू दिन्छौँ यिनीहरू फ्लावर्सहरू एन्ड बर्ड्सहरू फ्लावर बर्ड्सहरू नै कतिको किन्दो रहेछ उसले $15.8 बिलियन इभन इन 2021 मा हैन. फ्लावर्सहरू हाम्रो देशमा पनि अब त गिफ्ट दिँदा हैन डिफ्रेन्ट सेरेमोनिजहरूमा यिनीहरूमा चल्छ नि त. त्यो कुराहरू नै उनीहरूले त्यति ठुलो एमाउन्टहरू तिरेर किन्दो रहेछ भनेपछि हामीले अब त्यो इम्पोर्ट गर्ने कुराहरूलाई हाउ वी क्यान मिनिमाइज दोज इम्पोर्ट थिङ्स हैन. फ्लावर्सहरू, फ्रुट्सहरू, इभन भेजिटेबल्सहरू विच वी क्यान ग्रो इन आवर कन्ट्री, विच वी क्यान ग्रो इन इभन इन अर्बन एरियाज. अब त्यो कसरी गर्ने त भन्ने कुराहरू आउँछ. प्लिज अब अर्कोमा. अब यसमा चाहिँ हामीलाई के गर्नु पर्यो भने अब फुड सस्टेनेबिलिटीको कुरा गर्नुपर्ने हुन्छ जब हामीले यो कुराहरू गर्छौँ फुड सस्टेनेबिलिटी भनेको के भयो त भन्दाखेरि फुड सस्टेनेबिलिटी मिन्स प्रोड्युसिङ फुड इन अ वे द्याट प्रोटेक्ट्स द इन्भाइरोमेन्ट मेक्स एफिसिएन्ट युज अफ नेचुरल रिसोर्सेस ensure that farmers can support themselves and enhances the quality of life in communities that produce food including fruits, vegetables and flowers. जसले चाहिँ त्यो फार्मर्सहरू भनेपछि लोकल पिपल हुनसक्छ जसले त्यो ग्रो गर्छ र त्यसको नजिकैको त्यो एरियामा बस्नेहरू सबैले पनि त्यो फ्रुट र भेजिटेबल्सहरू पनि युज गर्न पाउँछ. नेक्स्ट प्लिज. अब हाउ वी क्यान सल्भ दिस प्रब्लम्स भन्ने कुरा गर्दाखेरि चाहिँ माथिको कुरा हेर्दाखेरि त ह्युज एमाउन्ट अफ मनी विदिन इन 3 months विदिन इन 6 months अब 1 yearको त रिकर्डै हामीले हेर्न पाएको छैन भनेपछि हेरेनौँ भनेपछि इभन इन 1 year वी आर स्पेन्डिङ मिलियनौँ डलर्स इभन इन होइन मिलियन डलर्स चाहिँ यस्तोलाई खर्च गरिरहेको रहेछौँ भनेपछि अब हामीले चाहिँ के गर्नु पर्यो त भन्दाखेरि डेफिनेटली यो चाहिँ नि सेन्ट्रल गभर्मेन्टले पनि यसलाई विचार गर्नु पर्यो. How we can reduce these importing things which we can grow easily in our areas भन्ने कुराहरू गर्नु पर्यो. नेक्स्ट प्लिज. अब यसलाई चाहिँ सिम्पली कुरा गर्दाखेरि हामीले के गर्न सक्छौँ त भन्दाखेरि अब ग्रिन सिटिज भनेपछि ग्रिन त गराउने नै हो हरियो त बनाउनै पर्छ. हरियाली ट्रिजहरू वी हेभ टु प्लान्ट भनेपछि वी हेभ टु प्लान्ट फ्रुट गिभिङ ट्रिज whereby we can reduce our expenses, our large amount of money which we can reduce, which we are spending nowadays. Such type of trees के गर्ने त भन्दाखेरि अब हामीले हाम्रो पार्कहरू छन् होइन हाम्रो स्ट्रिट्सहरू छन् स्ट्रिटहरूमा धेरै जसो फ्रुट गिभिङ ट्रिजहरू युज गर्दैनन् बिकज मोस्ट अफ द भेहिकुलर चल्ने युजमा त हामीले पोल्युसन एब्जर्ब गर्ने ट्रिजहरू रोप्छौँ जहाँ चाहिँ पोल्युसन हुन्छ सो फ्रुट्सहरू नट भेरी युजफुल हुनसक्छ. तर स्ट्यान्डर्ड्स रोड स्ट्यान्डर्ड्सहरू पनि त हाम्रो छ नि होइन हाम्रो चाहिँ हाइवे छ हाम्रो डिस्ट्रिक्ट रोड छ हाम्रो के भन्छ यो अर्बन रोडहरू छन् र एक्सेस रोड्सहरू पनि छन्. त्यो हेरेर जुन ठाउँमा एमिसन्सहरू कम हुन्छ त्यो स्ट्रिट्सहरूमा पनि हेरी फ्रुट ट्रिजहरू हामी प्लान गर्नुपर्छ. हामीले गर्न सक्छौँ भने भ्याकिन ल्यान्डहरू हामीले वर्षौँ ल्यान्डलाई भ्याकिन गरेर राख्छौँ केही न केही युज गरेर नगरेर इभन इन अर्बन एरियाज होइन घरहरू नबनाइकन भ्याकिन ल्यान्डहरू राख्छौँ. प्राइभेट ल्यान्डदेखि लिएर सेमी गभर्मेन्ट ल्यान्डहरू पब्लिक ल्यान्डहरू पनि हामी यत्तिकै छोडेर राखिरहेको हुन्छौँ. मोस्ट अफ द प्लेसेस लाइक पब्लिक अफिसेसहरूमा हामीले ल्यान्डहरू यत्तिकै छोडेर राखेको पाउँछौँ. कलेजेसहरू युनिभर्सिटिजहरूमा पनि हामीले त्यो कुरा पाउँछौँ भनेपछि अब हामीले के गर्नु पर्यो त त्यो ठाउँमा चाहिँ हामीले डिफ्रेन्ट किसिमको फार्मिङको टाइम सिद्धिएको अब अलिकति गरौँ होइन होइन अघि न अलिकति प्रब्लम परेको टाइम खायो नि ल इट्स अल ओके. यसरी चाहिँ हामीले डिफ्रेन्ट ठाउँमा प्लान्टेसन्सहरू गरेर हामीले चाहिँ यो चिजलाई हामीले रोक्न सक्छौँ सस्टेनेबल ल्यान्डस्केप गर्न सक्छौँ. त्यसले चाहिँ हाम्रो इभन अर्बन पोरहरूलाई पनि एक्सेस टु न्युट्रिसन एक्सेस टु अर्बन हङ्गरहरूको पनि प्रब्लम सल्भ हुन्छ भने त्यो कसरी गर्ने भन्ने कुरा चाहिँ प्लिज नेक्स्ट स्लाइड. अब मैले भने एलङ द रोड रिभर्स एलङ द रोडमा पनि यसरी हामीले छाडिरहेको ल्यान्डहरू धेरै छ जुन चिजलाई चाहिँ हामीले त्यसरी फ्रुट गिभिङ ट्रिजहरू रोप्न सक्छौँ. प्लिज नेक्स्ट वान. यसरी रिभर करिडर्सहरूमा नेक्स्ट भ्याकेन्ट ल्यान्डहरू यत्तिकै छोडिरहेको हुन्छ. प्लिज नेक्स्ट. अनि पब्लिक अफिसेसहरूमा पनि कतिपय ट्रिजहरू त होला अर्नामेन्टल ट्रिजहरू होला जहाँ हामीले फ्रुट गिभिङ ट्रिजहरू रोप्न सक्छौँ. अब अर्को प्लिज. अब यो एउटा पनि हामीले अपनाउन सक्छौँ भन्ने कुरा देखाएको हो यसलाई पनि अब छोडिदिउँ. अनि यसमा अब के गर्नुपर्छ भन्ने कुराहरू हामीले अघि नै पनि हिँडिसकेछौँ यसलाई पनि अलिक स्किप गरिदिए पनि भयो. अब पोल्युसनहरू हटाउने ट्रिजहरूलाई पनि हामीले एरेन्जमेन्ट गर्नुपर्छ र एट द एन्ड हामीले के गर्नुपर्छ एप्रोप्रिएट ठाउँमा चाहिँ एप्रोप्रिएट प्लान्टेसन्सहरू गर्नुपर्छ वेयर बाई वी क्यान रिड्युस द भेरी लार्ज एमाउन्ट अफ मनी फर इम्पोर्टिङ फ्रुट्स फ्लावर्स एन्ड भेजिटेबल्स. र त्यो चिजलाई चाहिँ हामीले के गर्नुपर्छ त भन्दाखेरि अब म्युनिसिपालिटी अन्तर्गत मेट्रोपोलिटन सब मेट्रोपोलिटन एन्ड म्युनिसिपालिटिज अन्तर्गत राखेर सम स्मलेस्ट युनिट अफ मेट्रोपोलिटन भनेको वार्ड हो. सो वार्ड अफिसले यसलाई कन्ट्रोल गरेर लोकल एरियाजहरूमा युजर कमिटिजहरू त्यसपछि कम्युनिटी अर्गनाइजेसन्सहरूलाई चाहिँ जिम्मा दियो भने यो फ्रुटफुल हुनसक्छ भन्ने कुराहरू गर्न खोजेको थ्याङ्क यू भेरी मच सरी फर इन्टरप्सन इन द मिडल गाह्रो भएकोमा
थ्याङ्क यू भेरी मच थ्याङ्क यू Professor Sudha Shrestha for your eye-opening presentations. We have very limited time. We have to leave this room by 10:30. So I would like to invite the next presenter, Ms. Subha Adhikari from USA, and she will be presenting on the potential bus rapid transit BRT system in Nepali cities. I think she's available in the online, but she had already seen the pre-recorded video. So could you please run that video?
Today I'm going to discuss with you the potential of bus rapid transit in mid-sized cities of Nepal. I'm an urban transportation planner with more than a decade and a half of experience of working on public transportation projects. I work in the private sector as well as in all levels of government in the United States. I'm a certified planner with American Institute of Certified Planners and currently employed with the U.S. Department of Transportation Federal Transit Administration at its headquarters in Washington, D.C. However, I just want to clarify that thoughts and ideas I'm going to present today are my own and do not represent views of my employer. Let's start with why I felt the need to talk about this topic. As you all know, Nepal is going through rapid growth and urbanization. There are currently 6 metropolitan cities in Nepal whose population range from around 250,000 to around 850,000 people. There are 11 urbanized areas categorized as sub-metropolitan cities with population ranging from 100,000 to 200,000 people. Among the numerous places categorized as municipalities, 11 have population exceeding 100,000. And this is looking at individual urban areas within their defined political boundaries. In reality, many of these urban areas are adjacent to each other and function as one urban pair or one urban cluster with their combined population far exceeding their individual population. None of these cities have quality public transportation system. The transit services being provided by fragmented non-formal private sector providers are not adequate in quantity or in quality of service. This is the current situation. If you look ahead a few years, existing cities will grow larger and denser. New cities will emerge and need of public transportation will grow even bigger. So there are choices to make. One choice is just do nothing. Let things happen the way they are happening. Let's unplanned haphazard urbanization take place. Let population and density grow to urban levels, but do not actively plan any infrastructure, services, or amenities. This will result into creation of slums, not cities, with absolutely no quality of life. The other choice is to anticipate and manage growth and provide facilities accordingly, anticipating the geographic location of the growth, timing of the growth, and any services that might be needed. This will result cities with better quality of life. Okay, now let's think a step further and aim something beyond what we just talked about. Let's be proactive and not be reactive when planning our cities. Let's build cities that can provide high quality of life where people want to live, work, and play. Don't just react to anticipated growth, but encourage and welcome them. So what can we do to provide a city where people want to live, work, and play? Our other panelists here and our presenters here are experts on how to create livable, sustainable, and smart cities. So stay tuned and also check out our last symposium on YouTube. Among many things that these experts list that are necessary to create a livable city, public transportation is one of them and a very important one. So I'm going to focus on public transportation. There can be different modes that can be used as public transportation, such as heavy rail, which is also called metro, light rail, streetcars, buses, etc. The one I'm going to advocate today is bus rapid transit, and I'll tell you why. Before we zoom into BRT specifically, let's talk about some of the benefits of a good public transportation in general. Mobility, ability to move around without having to own a vehicle. Access, it provides greater access to goods and services, as well as access to its own facilities and services to the people with all ability and disability. Ensures equity, to meet the needs of all community members, low income, minority, women, people with disability, etc. Cost savings, using public transportation is cheaper than owning and maintaining a vehicle. On the provider side, building transit infrastructure will be much more cost effective in the long run than building and expanding roads all the time to accommodate growing number of vehicles. Travel time savings. Environmental preservation, by taking private vehicles off the road, reducing emissions, using clean energy. And last but not the least, energy conservation by using fewer vehicles and by using energy efficient vehicles. Now let's find out what a bus rapid transit is. A bus rapid transit is a transit system that uses rubber tire buses on a guideway to emulate features of a rail, with its looks, its feel, and its services. There are many features that make up a BRT system: running way, vehicles, stations, safety features, and other additional features. Ideally, BRT would run on an exclusive right-of-way, just like a train, to get optimal travel time. However, it can range from an exclusive busway or a bus-only lane on a shared right-of-way with maybe physical barrier or just a marking, or just a sign that indicates the lane is BRT lane. In extremely constrained circumstances, it can also run on mixed traffic general purpose lanes. In those cases, queue jumps and transit signal priority technologies are used to recover the travel time savings. In terms of vehicles, BRT buses are larger in capacity, like articulated buses. They have wider door and all-door boarding capability. Floors are low and level, seats are comfortable. Depending on the route, it may allow room for standing passengers as well. In terms of stations, BRT stations are well defined with all-weather shelters, comfortable seating, system and route information, real-time bus location, arrival information, ticket vending machine, press receptacle, etc. They usually have enhanced safety features in stations as well as in vehicles, like adequate lighting, surveillance system, or safety patrol, etc. Other features may include unique branding at their stations and vehicles, online ticketing, phone payment, universal card that you can use in other systems within the city for seamless multimodal transfer. So why BRT? Before selecting any mode, we need to be clear on what our needs are and how much resources we have available to devote to the solution. If your ridership forecast tells you that you need something that with huge capacity, your choice of mode might be different than what if it tells you that the ridership might not be that big. Based on the literature reviews I have done, Metro Rail's capacity ranges from around 65,000 riders to 72,000 riders per hour. A light rail's capacity ranges from around 12,000 to 27,000 riders per hour, whereas BRT's capacity ranges from around 9,000 to 30,000 riders per hour. But I encourage you to remember the capacity in terms of high, medium, and low as shown in the screen, rather than focusing on the absolute numbers. The reason is, ridership calculation depends on many factors, and it can vary significantly from system to system. For example, a Metro Rail's capacity not only depends on its vehicle capacity, but also number of vehicles available for use, frequency, station capacity, onboarding and offboarding capacity, capacity of a power line that may only support certain number of trains per hour, capacity of maintenance yard, etc. So well-defined, well-planned BRT might be in a similar range as a light rail in terms of capacity, whereas a metro rail might not be able to realize its optimal capacity due to several factors I just mentioned. You need to do ridership and capacity analysis for your specific project. but in general, BRT might be a suitable option for low to medium ridership scenarios that we might expect from a mid-sized city in Nepal. Let's get to the cost now. For cost analysis, I looked at publicly available information for 49 projects that are currently in the US Department of Transportation Capital Investment Grants Program, which is a very competitive discretionary grant program that funds heavy rail, light rail, and BRT. The estimated capital cost of 5 heavy rail projects in the pipeline ranges from $60 million to $4.3 billion per mile. Similarly, estimated capital cost of 5 light rail projects ranges from $91 million to $1.3 billion, and that of 39 BRT projects ranges from $3.4 million to $99 million per mile. Majority, which is 36 out of 39 BRT projects, are actually under only $30 million of estimated capital cost. Again, rather than focusing on the absolute numbers, I want you to see the cost difference among these three systems. So looking at the capacity needs and the capital cost, BRT might be within the reach of cities that want to start building a good public transportation system that serve their needs. Besides the cost, there are other seemingly small benefits of BRT that might make a huge difference. As we just discussed in the previous slide, BRTs have a small startup cost. Since they can be much smaller in scale, they can be initiated locally, they can be implemented incrementally. You can start with a small segment or start segment and incrementally add to the line, or start with a couple of individual lines that are short and then integrate them into a system. You can start building the transit system with BRT in mind and secure right-of-way, etc. And if the ridership increases, it can be upgraded to a higher capacity system. BRT offers huge flexibility in terms of routing, station placement, and termini that might not be as convenient in light rail or metro system. It also allows flexibility in operation, for example, detours when section of road guideway is blocked. Buses comes in many different shapes and sizes. This allows larger choice in vehicle design that fits your need. Since BRT system uses bus as a vehicle mode, it allows more choices in procurement of vehicles, not only vehicles but supporting system, spare parts, and even operating and maintenance services. It also might offer economic of scale. Similarly, there might be a larger pool of skilled or semi-skilled workforce available, and it's probably easier to train them as well. And then, riders are more familiar with the system, the vehicles being bus, so there is some benefit in that as well. So we talked about what makes BRT an attractive option for investment and implementation side. But what makes it successful is people actually riding it. People would want to ride BRT for its reliability, its consistency, for travel time savings, for its convenience and comfort, for safety, for accessibility, and for other amenities that might be important to them. For example, maybe a Wi-Fi. So people want these things in BRT system, but how can we achieve them? Beyond successful planning, construction, and initial implementation of the system, these are some of the things we need to continuously work on to make a BRT a successful transit system. Guideway management, good service plan, good operation plan, good maintenance plan, integration of intelligent transportation system, rider awareness and education, route and service optimization. And most important of all, after making these plans and policies, implementing and enforcing them properly. In this presentation, I draw from my own experience working on several transit projects, including BRTs. I consulted several literature review and spoke with people who have experience implementing BRT around the world, including India. I have listed some of the resources at the bottom of this slide, which you might want to refer later. So based on this research, experience, and conversation, here are some of the challenges and opportunities that we might face developing and implementing BRT system in Nepal. Restrictive right-of-way. This may be a hurdle in implementing all exclusive BRT only guideway, but may present as an opportunity to implement shared right-of-way innovatively. There is certainly a need for institutional framework to build and operate BRT. There is also need for capacity building in all aspects of BRT, from planning, construction, operation, maintenance, management, finance to governance. We always tend to undermine the need and importance of operations and maintenance cost estimate and forecast, but that's an important one. There are no long-term benefits if we do not properly manage our transit asset. So transit asset management is also an important one. Integration of signal and intelligent transportation system might be another hurdle, since signalized intersections are not that prevalent in our cities. And even when we have a signalized intersection, enforcing of signal priority can be an issue. Pedestrian crossing and sidewalk encroachment by street vendors, etc. can be another hurdle. Jaywalking by pedestrians can also be a challenge. As I briefly mentioned earlier, there might be several informal transit providers. The goal here is not to displace them, but to coordinate with them for route and service optimization. In this regard, it can be both challenge and an opportunity for BRT. Overall, integration of smart technology can be an opportunity, since everyone has a smartphone now and people like to do things on their phone. In the interest of time, I'm going to conclude my presentation for today, but feel free to reach out to me with any ideas, critiques, questions, or more information, or anything. My email is shubha.adhikari@gmail.com, and you can also find me on LinkedIn. Thank you for listening to my presentation.
Thank you very much, Ms. Adhikari, for your wonderful presentations. We have only the last presentation remaining. Mr. Naran Bhandari and Ekraj Adhikari is going to present about the sustainable urban development in Nepal, policy gaps and way forward. I would like to invite both presenters.
Thank you, Sunilji. From our side, Mr. Joint Secretary, Mr. Ekraj Adhikari will present the presentation, and I will assist him. I will hand over the mic to Ekraj Adhikari ji. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Respected session chair, speakers, and all the delegates. Our topic of presentation is effort on sustainable urban development in Nepal, policy gap and way forward. Please, would you please give me this? Okay. This is our presentation outline, background, past effort on sustainable urban planning and development in Nepal, policy, strategy, and project for sustainable urban development, challenge and opportunities, and the conclusion and way forward. Constitution of Nepal 2015 has already envisioned about the balanced and inclusive development of Nepal. Similarly, our long-term vision of our periodic plan is Prosperous Nepal and Happy Nepali. Similarly, this time we can witness that rural to urban migration or rural-urban transition is rapidly going in Nepal. So migration from hill and mountain to Trai and the valley is very high. And the latest census data shows that 34 hill and mountain districts have negative growth, population growth. Similarly, government of Nepal restructured our municipalities, and currently we have 293 census town. And I would like to say they are not all urban areas, but these are census town, and the population of this census town is about 66%. And there is very much deficit of infrastructure in these urban municipalities, and our NUDS document, Nepal Urban Development Strategy document, has clearly shown that urban infrastructure condition index is very high range among the municipalities. For example, Kathmandu has 91 score, while the Gloria has only 16 score. In the policy side, we have Constitution, Periodic Plan, National Urban Policy 2007, which has 3 objectives of balanced urban development, promoting sustainable urban environment, and empowering local bodies. Among 3 objectives, one objective, local bodies has converted into constitutionally independent government, local government, and we have to achieve 2 other objectives now. Similarly, National Urban Development Strategy has clearly find out areas of urban planning and urban development and themes and the mechanisms. Similarly, our sectoral program to achieve urban development has so many projects, such as the New Town project, Smart City project, dense urban development project, and under the leadership of Ministry of Urban Development, we are implementing such project all over the country. According to administrative classification, we have 3 kind of urban municipalities: metropolitan, sub-metropolitan, and municipality. But according to Nepal's urban form, according to built-up pattern or urban pattern, we have historic and cultural towns as well as new urbanism areas. We have another document called Planning Norms and Standard, and this document has classified urban areas into 5 categories from market center, sub-city, city, sub-metropolitan, and metropolitan city. And it is the right time that according to this classification, according to this population, threshold population, we have to build infrastructure and services to cater the areas. Urbanization trend shows that we have in 1981 only 6.3 population lived in urban areas. This grows 9.11 in 1991, in 2001 14%, and in 2011 17%. But after the restructuring of the country, this figure rapidly grew. But in comparison to India and China, currently China has about 64% of urbanization, while India has 34% of urbanization. So it is not really urban population. So in the international arena, we cannot say this is our urban population. This is exactly census town population, urban municipality population. So now Ministry of Urban Development, our census department, and the UN Habitat is working on that. Actually, what is the urban population of Nepal? And this preliminary figures show that about 27% is our current urban population, but it has to be finalized, and it will be published soon. The preliminary finding is that about 27% is our actual urban population. Besides this, there is peri-urban characteristic in our rural municipalities and urban municipalities, and this figure is about 39%, and this 39% plus 27% is around 66%, which is just values for the urban and the peri-urban population. In the past, in the Lichipi and Malla period, we have very organic and very sustainable township development pattern. We can see heritage settlement and the various township in the Kathmandu Valley and outside the Kathmandu Valley. But after the this democracy in 1950s, the modern planning system is adopted in Nepal, and we practice various kind of planning paradigms. we used physical development planning, land use planning, structure planning, integrated action planning, like that. But currently, we are practicing integrated development planning, or IUDP. We said currently that integrated urban development planning. There is huge exercise and experience of planning, but there is huge gap in implementation of this planning. So in the cultural and historic cities, there is various kind of problem. You can see in our cities now. There is vertical division of historic cities, core areas. There is sometimes we dismantle for the road widening purpose. This kind of mismatch is you can see, and there is short supply of urban services and encouragement of open space, public spaces, and the commercialization, unnecessary commercialization is happening in that town, and these are the problem of this city. While in the new planning area, there is another kind of problems such as this linear pattern of ribbon development is going on, and our highways cannot act as a highways, while the settlement is not safer because this is developing as the ribbon development, and there is lack of other facilities except this linear road. So pollution or disaster problem, and this without development regulation, our concretization of these cities is not our desire. So there are huge problem of this slum and scatter settlement, solid waste management, traffic management, etc. The basic problems in our cities. So we have also opportunities because newly formed municipalities has providing opportunity for timely intervention. There is strong government in the lower level, and we have a subnational government of provincial government. So we can go there and we can transfer our knowledge to subnational government. Similarly, urban agenda is now set as the priority agenda for the three level of government. So private sector is also interested to invest in the various urban infrastructure and the management projects. So experience of governments, agencies, and the land development capacity, and our experience also we can implement for the planned extension of cities. So we have opportunities for the planned growth of our cities. So finally, institutional capacity building is our key areas that we have to tackle, because in the municipalities there is a very lack of resources, human resources. There is no expert, no architect, no planner, no other expertise in the municipalities, but we are trying to make plan a city. So beautiful cities, beautiful design of buildings, and the development regulation, but there is huge gap of human resources. So one area is we have to improve in the knowledge transfer and the capacity building of this local government. Another areas of our improvement is the investment in the urban services and the infrastructures. We would like to request all the donor partners and all the international delegates to increase investment in the urban infrastructure shown by our guiding document, like urban policy and the national urban development strategy. Similarly, we have to improve in our coordination mechanism among the three tier of government, as well as other infrastructure departments of government of Nepal. And the other area is sustainable localization of sustainable development goal, especially goal number 11, new urban agenda, cities for all, because we have to create sustainable and cities for all segment of the society, and similarly disaster reduction and the climate change internalization is the area of our intervention. So finally, though effective implementation of urban development strategy envisioned in the periodic plan, national urban policy, national urban development strategy with collaboration among 3 tiers of government, communities, and stakeholders, the cities of tomorrow, sustainable, beautiful, and planned city we can create. Thank you.
Thank you very much, architecture Yekraj Adhikari and Mr. Naran Bhandari for the valuable presentations. We have completed all the 5 presentations in this